Hello and welcome back. This is Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westwood, Indiana. Here we have another firearm comparison for you. In front of me I have three of the most popular concealed carry revolvers that we sell. That is the Ruger LCR, the Smith & Wesson Model 642, and the Taurus Model 85. All three are chambered in .38 Special. We're going to do an unboxing of the three and then do a step-by-step comparison. So if you're looking at any one of these three, I can give you a good idea of how they compare to the others. Just to start off, a quick idea, the Ruger LCR and the Smith & Wesson Model 642 retail in about the $400 range, and the Taurus Model 85 retail is in about the $250 to $300 range respectively. Of course, that's going to depend on your area. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the camera in and we'll get started. So starting us off here, we do have the Ruger LCR and its standard white Ruger box, cardboard box. We'll go ahead and open this up here. Inside we're going to find a nylon or a fabric sleeve with nice Ruger branding on it, Ruger LCR. I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Further down we do have the instruction manuals for the pistol, as well as all of your warranty information and other little add-ins that they put in there. Looks like discount coupons and all that sort of stuff. Also you have a little gel packet here, keep the moisture out. In here, I'm not going to rip this thing open, but there is a gun safety lock in here, as is required for them to provide. Jumping back in here, we'll go ahead and open this up. Inside of a plastic sleeve, we will find the revolver. We'll go ahead and pull that out. Now, when we open it up, we will find a yellow safety indicator, an empty cylinder indicator here. Go ahead and pop that out, and we'll find the revolver. Moving on to the Smith & Wesson, we do find a standard blue cardboard box. Same box you'll find the M&P shield or anything else like that in. We'll go ahead and open this up. Inside right away, we will find inside of this clear blue plastic sleeve the revolver. We'll go ahead and get to that. Opening it up, we will find its empty cylinder indicator here, this little plastic ring I can go ahead and move. And there's the pistol. Go ahead and move that out of the way. We do have our instruction manual, warranty information card, and promotional material here. And we do have our safety lock as well. Alright, finally with the Taurus, we do have a cardboard box again. We'll go ahead and open this up. Immediately we will find instructional information and warranty information here. Right underneath we will find the revolver inside of a plastic sleeve. Go ahead and remove that. Go ahead and open up the cylinder. We will find another plastic ring indicating that the cylinder is empty. I'll go ahead and remove that out of the way, revealing that we have an empty firearm. Set that to the side, and then we have a couple of these little key locks. The Taurus does come with a safety on the hammer where you could turn and rotate this key inside a little hole, and that makes the gun safe. I'll go ahead and show you that now. And that's right there. Frame lock on the revolver, hammer lock, I guess. Alright, so I've got the three laid out here for you now. Just to recap, we have the S&W 642, the Taurus 85, and the Ruger LCR. Now, just so you're aware, in every single line there are other options. For example, in the J-frame S&W line, we do have the 637 up here, which is just like the 642, but it does have a hammer. Or we have the 638, which has a semi-concealed hammer, where the hammer is actually down here, hidden by these panels on the frame. Down here in the LCRs, of course we have this LCR in .38 Special, but you can also get it in .357, 9mm, 22 LR, 22 Magnum, and .327 Federal Magnum. Also, if you would like, you can get the LCR 3, which is a 3-inch variant, and it does come with a hammer. Or the LCR X if you want to stay in the snub nose and keep that hammer on the rear like you get in the LCR 3. Also in the Taurus 85 line, you can get other variations which I don't have here with me today, but you can get the protector polymer, which does weigh in at 18.2 ounces, or the ultralight, which does have an alloy frame, which weighs in at 17 ounces. Now this one is a steel frame, and this one weighs in at 21 ounces. So let's go ahead and talk about general size. The Ruger LCR is 6.5 inches in length. The Taurus 85 is also 6.5 inches in length, and the Smith & Wesson 642 is 6.31 inches in length. I have a dollar bill here for size comparison. Obviously, if you have a dollar bill at home, pull that out and you can do a comparison. I'm going to go ahead and lay each one over a dollar bill so you can get an idea of the general size. Here is our model 642 laid over the dollar bill. I have the front of the muzzle lined up with the far edge of the dollar bill, and the top of it lined up with the top of the edge of the dollar bill. As you can see, the length only protrudes. My guess would be about ½ an inch past the length of the dollar bill. The width of the dollar bill pretty much meets up with the width and from the top of the revolver down to the frame. The frame does protrude down about 1/4 to ½ an inch. And of course we are getting about 1.5 to 2 inches in length in the grip as it extends below, which is to be expected. Moving on to the Taurus, again 6.5 inches in overall length. Again, we have everything lined up here. The trigger guard is protruding down about ½ an inch below the edge of the dollar bill. We do have a lot of length coming down here, probably about 2 inches. And we have about, I'd say, ½ to 3/4 of an inch of extension past the dollar bill on the grip. So again, pull out a dollar bill and compare that. And then we move on to the LCR. The LCR, again, about ½ to 3/4 of an inch of extension below the bottom edge of the dollar bill here. And then we have about 1.5 to 2 inches in extension on the grip here. So I have noticed the camera is at a little bit of an angle, so it's creating a little bit of an illusion. So I'm going to hold each of these up again to the camera. You can pause and look and see the dimensions and get an idea, if you pull out a dollar bill, about how large it'll be in your hand. So that on the LCR. Taurus Model 85, Smith & Wesson 642. Now let's move on to weight. I have them ranked here from lightest to heaviest, starting with the LCR. The LCR weighs 13.6 ounces. The S&W 642 is just a little bit heavier at 14.4 ounces, so about an ounce heavier. And then the Taurus actually jumps up quite a bit to 21 ounces. Now remember, this is a steel frame. They do have the Protector series, which is polymer, and then the Ultralight, which is an alloy. So if you are interested in any other variant of this to lighten up the weight on, there is that to consider. Also keep in mind, the heavier the firearm, the more controllability and lighter recoil there will be. So consider that when you're trying to determine between whether you want something a little bit lighter to carry or something a little bit lighter on recoil. That will kind of guide you in the direction you want to go. Lighter on recoil, lighter to carry, somewhere in between. So let's go ahead and start talking about the barrels and the front sights. The S&W 642 does have a 1.87 inch barrel. That's 1 7/8 inches. The Ruger LCR has the same length at 1.87 inch barrel, and the Taurus down here has a 2 inch barrel. So of course they would all be considered snub-nosed revolvers. Getting into the sights, the front sight base on the 642 is a fixed ramp. It's an integral sight, so it cannot be removed. Down here it's going to be the same thing on the Taurus 85. Is it a fixed sight, a fixed ramp sight? Now the LCR does have a ramp sight as well, but it does have a cross pin which can be drifted out, and the front sight base can be removed and replaced with anything else if you want to throw on a fiber optic or a night sight or anything like that. So you do get a little bit of customizability with the LCR. Now one thing while we are at the front end of the revolvers is the ejector rod. We'll take a look at those. The 642 does not have a shrouded ejector rod, so it is exposed. Whereas you do see this shrouded and enclosed ejector rod here, as well as on the Taurus, you do see a shrouded ejector rod here that does add a little bit more durability and rigidity to the potential protection of the ejector rod, I guess you should say. Make it less impervious to bending or anything like that, which could make the revolver inoperable. Is there really any risk of that happening? Probably not huge, but something worth noting. Now let's move up into the cylinders. Each one is a 5-round capacity, and I'll go ahead and show you. Take this opportunity to show you they are all clear. They have been clear since we began filming. There's 5 rounds in there. And 5 rounds in there. Okay, starting with the Taurus, there's really nothing too special to say about this. It's a steel construction. very standard, follows kind of the construction and finishing properties of the rest of the Revolver. 5-round capacity, like we said. Smith & Wesson is a stainless steel cylinder. Again, nothing super fancy about it, but it is stainless steel as opposed to an aluminum alloy, so you do get a little bit of extra rigidity there in the cylinder. The Ruger LCR is a little bit different. There's a couple things to state about this one. This is a stainless steel cylinder as well. They do have a fluted cutouts here on the cylinder, which is again one of the things that contributes to its lightweight at 13.6 ounces. One other thing is the finishing process on this is known as a PVD finish, which is known for physical vapor deposition, which is basically it's a superheated and vapored style of treatment that's placed over the part, and then it's heated to severe temperatures and then cooled. That creates a very, very strong adhesive bonding with the finished substance onto the metal. What that's going to do is that's not only going to create a really good rust resistance, a really nice finish, it's also going to take a lot more time for a turn line to start developing on the cylinder, which is a great thing because, I mean, these are brand new and I can already see remnants of turn lines on them for having only been turned a few times, whereas on the LCR I don't. So that's interesting about the cylinder there. So let's go ahead and get into the frames. The Taurus does have a solid steel one-piece frame. It's very heavy, very durable, very rigid. Again, going to help you with that recoil, but nothing too spectacular about it. The 642 air weight here is made out of an aluminum alloy, again one piece, and very, very lightweight, again helping keep that weight down to about 14.4 ounces. The LCR is a monolithic aluminum frame made from 7000 series aluminum. Now, that aluminum series is used in their 22 LRs and Magnums and 38 Specials. When you get into the 327 Federal, the 9mm, and the 357, you're into 400 series aluminum. What they also have here is their patented polymer fire control housing, so what people often refer to as the polymer lower. So it does give a lot of the construction material is made out of a polymer, again really helping to keep that weight down. Cylinder release on the Taurus is your standard push forward style button. It does have nice aggressive checker in here. Very easy to grab a hold of and very, very easy to push the cylinder out. Ejector rod has a little bit of a gritty feel to it, but is still otherwise very smooth with really nice spring tension. The 642 also does have a push forward, very standard Smith & Wesson style release, which pushes forward. It's got some nice tension on it, very easy to handle. Push it forward and very easy to rock that cylinder out of place. Ejector rod, really, really smooth, much smoother than the Taurus, with really nice positive return spring tension. The Ruger LCR uses a button style cylinder release, which does push a little bit toward the rear. So you do push that button inward and then roll that cylinder out. Again, pretty easy to do, but a little bit different if you're used to other styles of cylinder releases like on a Smith or any other push forward style. Ejector rod, really nice spring tension, very smooth. Again, smooth like the Smith, a lot smoother than the Taurus. Let's go ahead and talk about the triggers. So the 642, being a hammerless revolver, is a double action only. Therefore, it does have a pretty large and heavy pull. The pull weight is 12 pounds. So the full pull will require both actions, double action, of course, to pull it all the way through. Again, a little bit heavy, but you are talking about a hammerless revolver, and again, that can be considered a safety feature. So one other thing I really like about the 642 is it's relatively easy to stage the trigger. So I can go ahead and pull and stage that and take my accurate shot when I'm ready. I can just go ahead and pull through. Very, very easy to do and handle. The Taurus, again, now this is a double or single action. So if I'm comparing this to the 642 on double action only, again, we are talking about a 12-pound trigger, which is nice and easy to go ahead and stage. Of course, you're now seeing my hammer coming to the rear, but I can go ahead and stage that easily for nice shots. Now, of course, this is also a single action. It's a double single action, so I can go ahead and pull that hammer back. And if I do that, I haven't actually looked up the specs on this, but my guess is that pull weight is now about 3 pounds-ish. Now the LCR is the lightest of the three at about 9 pounds, and on a hammerless double action revolver, that's probably close to about as light as you want to go. Really nice smooth trigger. Obviously much lighter than the other two. Very nice and smooth. Now, one thing I have noticed is it is not as easy to stage. It seems to just follow through and break right away. Now, with some practice, you can really take your time and find that sweet spot, which I guess is about there. But still, it's something that's going to take some getting used to. The Taurus and the Smith seem to fall right into there right when they're ready to be fired. There's a little bit of take up there. So it's really easy to stage. The LCR, not so much, just smooth all the way through, which could be a good thing if that's what you're interested in. Now, one other thing about the LCR trigger is Ruger does advertise that it does have a patented trigger pull reducing cam, and I guess that's what they attribute the nice pull weight to. Now, I'm going to roll in some graphics here and talk about this a little bit. Here we have a graphic provided by Ruger. And this is a demonstration of just showing the trigger, sear, and the hammer and how they interface. Now, in comparison to a Smith & Wesson style, I haven't really seen any difference. I did do some research on some forums, and some people thought the cylinder advancing pawl, like on a Smith & Wesson, which the pawl is connected to the trigger, they believe that the pawl may, since the diagram doesn't show the pawl, that the pawl might actually be connected to the hammer, which would reduce stacking or that additional pull weight as the trigger is required to do more actions. However, on an expanded view that I found on YouTube of it actually being the LCR actually functioning, we can actually see in this diagram that the LCR, the cylinder advancing feed pawl, is also connected to the trigger. So function-wise, I can't find any difference in how this would differ from the standard Smith & Wesson design. If any of you know that, please leave it in the comments section and I'll update an annotation. But I couldn't find any answers to that online, and yeah, I definitely looked. So it might just be fancy marketing, who knows. Anyway, let me know if you know the answer to that. Okay, moving on down here to the grips. Here on the Smith & Wesson, you do get, now I don't have the largest hands, but I'm starting to notice my pinky kind of falling off the bottom here. Anybody who has larger hands than me, your pinky will probably fall off, so keep that in mind. You do have a really short grip, but that is good for in terms of concealability. Kind of like a Glock 26. If you're okay with your pinky kind of falling off the bottom there, then it won't really bother you. These are nice rubber panels, but any other J-frame Smith grips should fit as long as they have the right, whether it's a squared or rounded bottom, depending on the model you get. The LCR does come equipped with a Hogue Tamer mono grip, which is really nice and beefy. Again, a little bit on the short end. You really just have grooves here for your middle and ring finger. Your pinky will kind of just fall off the bottom. Again, good in terms of keeping that short profile, but if you don't like that type of feel, then consider that when you're purchasing. The Taurus also utilizes a rubber grip setup. You do have nice Taurus graphics here on the rubber grip, which they started putting those on their revolvers a few years ago. Kind of cool if you're interested in that sort of thing. Again, nice purchase. Actually, I'm able to feel like I can fit more of my hand on this than I can the others, but still not that much longer. So again, consider if you have I'd say I have an average hand side. If you have larger hands, keep that in mind. Good thing about all three of these revolvers, though, is there are other grips made by different companies that can be put on there super easy. Replacing revolver grips is a simple process. So that's an easily customizable thing. But if you're looking for something right out of the box, ready to go, and you have large hands, just keep that in mind. All right, guys, well, that pretty much covers this. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those down in the comment section. Again, this is Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana, and you're watching Marksman TV. We'll see you next time.